Welcome friends. We, from the Learning Light team, are welcoming you to this series of containers and Kubernetes. In this video, we will discuss the fundamental part of containers and how it works. It is very important to have the fundamental knowledge of containers, Kubernetes before we can jump to the demonstration parts. If you haven't subscribed to this channel, please do it right now. Also please hit the bell icon, so that you will be notified whenever there is a new content available. So, let's get started. Before starting containerization, we will start our discussion on virtualization technologies. We will see virtualization techniques and the drawbacks of this technology for what we are feeling to have another technology called containerization. We will see the benefits of containerization and how it works. We will also see the life cycle of containers. And then slowly we'll move our attention to Kubernetes and its features. Virtualization is a technology that allows users to run multiple virtual machines or VMs on a single physical server or host machine. It enables the creation of separate and isolated environments, each with its own operating system and applications, on a shared hardware infrastructure. Hypervisors are software or firmware components, known as hypervisors, that are used for virtual machine creation and management. They offer a layer of abstraction between the virtual machines and the underlying hardware, enabling the simultaneous operation of numerous operating systems. Bare metal hypervisor is an operating system that is not required for bare metal hypervisors. Sometimes they are referred to as Type 1 hypervisors because they operate directly on the host machine's hardware. It offers better performance and resource utilization compared to hosted hypervisors, which require an underlying OS. To better understand how virtual machines function, there needs to be an understanding of what is a virtual machine and what is VMware. Virtual machines are software emulations of computer systems. They act like separate computers and run as if they are independent computers but run within another operating system. VMware describes a company that provides virtualization software and enables the creation and management of virtual machines. As bare metal servers improved in processing power and capacity, applications and services designed for those servers failed to utilize all available resources effectively. As a result, IT teams and companies potentially waste those resources. Virtualization is a design that takes advantage of all the available reserves on a single server. Consequently, multiple virtual machines can now use the same resources more efficiently. Virtualization provides for the existence of multiple, smaller virtual servers within the framework of a larger server's physical environment. The virtualization software, which runs on the parent, allocates resources to each virtual server. The virtual servers also receive their own operating system, drivers, binaries, libraries, applications. These virtual servers are isolated from each other. Each smaller server exists within a virtualized platform consisting of other servers. They also participate in a pool of resources shared with other virtual machines. The software that makes all types of virtualization possible is called a hypervisor. Some companies refer to hypervisors as virtual machine monitors. A hypervisor can be hardware, software, or firmware-based. The hypervisor acts as a virtual layer that separates the physical server from its smaller VMs, regardless of its configuration. The hypervisor separation allows multiple guest operating systems to run side by side within the overall physical server. The hypervisor ensures the VM accesses a defined portion of the central server's resources. It's also responsible for ensuring the VMs remain separated and apportioned to each virtual machine as configured. VMs can also update and modify the applications within their own space without affecting the applications on another virtual machine. Increased security is an advantage of the VMs created by the virtualization process. The isolation of each mini-server allows for more control over the applications contained within each VM. If one VM becomes infected or corrupted, it will be kept separate from the other virtual machines and the host server. The VM is not affected by malicious activity on other portions of the physical server. For this reason, malicious activity on other portions of the physical server doesn't affect other VMs. In spite of having several advantages, virtual machines eventually face serious challenges eventually. Each VM is essentially a virtual copy of the host server on its own operating system, causing some VMs to be resource-heavy and slow. Although they are only a smaller partition of the overall server, they can still consume a significant amount of memory and processing power. Size is another challenge affecting the use of virtual machines. VMs tend to be significant in size. Because they are so large, the shareability and portability of VMs become a challenge. Here are some problems in virtualization that contributed to the rise of containerization. Traditional virtual machines, VMs, have substantial resource overhead because each VM runs a complete operating system along with its own kernel. This leads to higher memory and storage requirements. VMs often have slower startup times, as they need to boot a full operating system. This can impact the agility of dynamic environments and hinder rapid scaling. VMs can be less portable due to their larger size and dependencies on specific hypervisors. Moving VMs between different virtualization platforms may require conversion. VMs may suffer from inefficiencies in resource utilization, especially when running multiple VMs on a single host. This can result in underutilized resources. While VMs provide isolation, scaling can be a challenge, especially when rapid scaling is required in response to varying workloads. Managing VMs involves dealing with complex configurations, hypervisors, and potentially different virtualization platforms. Containerization describes a lightweight alternative to full machine virtualization. Containerization seeks to remedy some of the drawbacks of VMs through consistency, isolation, and portability. Applications can be packed with their dependencies and operate in separate environments called containers. Thanks to this lightweight virtualization technology called containerization. Compared to virtual computers, containers are lighter because they share the host machine's OS kernel. When comparing virtualization versus containerization, you can view containerization as a more modern solution. The benefits of containerization aim to solve many of the problems associated with virtualization. The purpose of the containers is to encapsulate an application and its dependencies within its environment. This encapsulation allows them to run in isolation while using the same system resources and operating system as other containers within the server. A container engine can easily manage large numbers of containers to create, add, and remove containers as needed. Because we only need to update, patch, and fix bugs on one operating system, container maintenance is a smoother, simpler process. Since there are no wasted resources on running separate operating system tasks, containerization allows for a much quicker, much more efficient deployment of applications. Another difference between containerization versus virtualization is the size of the vessel. Each container image could be only a few megabytes in size, making it easier to share, migrate, and move. Containerization is a technology that is taking the IT world by storm. It's no surprise considering the considerable benefits of shifting to a container-based deployment. Containers are lightweight. Compared to virtual machines, VMs, containers are significantly lighter on server resource usage. This is because unlike VMs, containers share the host operating system, and thus containers do not have operating systems of their own. Consider the graphic on screen to visualize resource usage across a typical two-app, web database, deployment scenario. With fewer demands on the server, we have the ability to dedicate more resources to your apps where it really matters. In the simplified example above, you could possibly even add a third app on your server with the overhead savings from not having to run 3 independent guest operating systems. When you are looking to scale your app, these resource savings become absolutely critical. Containers are fast. Being lightweight and not having an operating system means that containers are able to start and stop much faster than traditional VMs. In many cases, it can take seconds to start a container, compared to minutes to start a VM. There is no operating system to boot, so your app starts loading immediately. Containers are secure. Containers are built on the concept of namespaces. Much like a traditional VMs, this essentially means that your apps are sandboxed and not able to communicate with each other, unless of course, you want them to. This concept can be leveraged to help keep your apps secure, and data is only exposed between apps as you choose. Unlike a traditional dedicated server that might have a full LAMP stack running, it is common practice for each container to only provide a single service, so this can really help mitigate damage in the event of an attack. Containers are developer-friendly. With containers, your developers are able to use the same environment for both development and production. This is a common stumbling block in web app development. Your developer may write an app on their Mac laptop, only to find that it doesn't run on their Windows workstation. With containers, the image they build locally can be the same image that is run in production. How many times have you run into a bug and heard, "That's weird, it worked fine on my machine"? Combined with proper workflow, containers can help minimize these types of issues. Additionally, container building workflows lend themselves exceptionally well to CI/CD pipeline integrations. These advantages help your developers become more productive and efficient. Containers are portable. Container engines such as Docker are highly portable and able to run on basically any system. This means your developers are free to write the application on any system they choose and then deploy it on Mac, Windows, or Linux once it's ready. Once your container images are built, it is simple to use tools such as Docker Hub to distribute your pre-built images across your servers. Containers are easy to scale. It is typical, and indeed preferred for a container to strictly run a single service. Consider our simple web node or database example from earlier. This means that you would actually run two containers, one for the web server and a separate container for the database. Keeping your services separated helps keep them secure, but this also is a considerable advantage when you need to scale your application. Need to scale up for a big event or promotion? Simply fire up additional web nodes. You can elastically grow and shrink your platform to fit demand. Additionally, there are container orchestration tools, such as Kubernetes, to help provision clusters of containers as needed. Leveraging tools such as this can help keep your services highly available and able to dynamically adjust to the ebb and flow of internet traffic. This is typically a container architecture for Docker engines. However, most of the container engines work similarly. Containerized applications run on a container engine, which is responsible for creating, managing, and executing containers. Docker has its own container engine, but other containerization platforms like Podman, Containerd, and Arcati also exist. Containers start with a container image, which is a lightweight, standalone, and executable package containing the application code, libraries, runtime, and dependencies. Container images are typically built from a configuration file, similar to a Docker file using a tool specific to the containerization platform. The containerization process involves creating an image of the application and its dependencies. This image is then used to instantiate containers. Container images can be stored and shared through container registries. Docker Hub is an example of a registry for Docker images, but other containerization platforms may use different registries. To run an application, a container is created from the container image. The container is an instance of the image and is isolated from the host system and other containers. This is typically a life cycle of a container. In the created state, a Docker container is created from a Docker image. In the running state, the Docker container starts executing the commands mentioned in the image. To run a Docker container, use the docker run command. The docker run command creates a container if it is not present. In this case, the creation of the container can be skipped. In the paused state, the current executing command in the Docker container is paused. Use the docker pause command to pause a running container. In the stopped state, the container's main process is shut down gracefully. Docker sends sigterm for graceful shutdown, and if needed, sigkill to kill the container's main process. Use the docker stop command to stop a container. In the kill state, the container's main processes are shut down abruptly. Docker sends a sigkill signal to kill the container's main process. Containers are a good way to bundle and run your applications. In a production environment, you need to manage the containers that run the applications and ensure that there is no downtime. For example, if a container goes down, another container needs to start. Wouldn't it be easier if this behavior was handled by a system? That's how Kubernetes comes to the rescue. Kubernetes provides you with a framework to run distributed systems resiliently. It takes care of scaling and failover for your application, provides deployment patterns, and more. For example, Kubernetes can easily manage a canary deployment for your system. There are a number of reasons why Kubernetes is needed over containers. Kubernetes can expose a container using the DNS name or using their own IP address. If traffic to a container is high, Kubernetes is able to load balance and distribute the network traffic so that the deployment is stable. Kubernetes allows you to automatically mount a storage system of your choice, such as local storages, public cloud providers, and more. You can describe the desired state for your deployed containers using Kubernetes, and it can change the actual state to the desired state at a controlled rate. For example, you can automate Kubernetes to create new containers for your deployment, remove existing containers, and adopt all their resources to the new container. You provide Kubernetes with a cluster of nodes that it can use to run containerized tasks. You tell Kubernetes how much CPU and memory, RAM, each container needs. Kubernetes can fit containers onto your nodes to make the best use of your resources. Kubernetes restarts containers that fail, replaces containers, kills containers that don't respond to your user-defined health check, and doesn't advertise them to clients until they are ready to serve. Kubernetes lets you store and manage sensitive information, such as passwords, OAuth tokens, and SSH keys. You can deploy and update secrets and application configuration without rebuilding your container images, and without exposing secrets in your stack configuration. In addition to services, Kubernetes can manage your batch and CI workloads, replacing containers that fail, if desired. Scale your application up and down with a simple command, with a UI, or automatically based on CPU usage. Kubernetes helps to allocate IPv4 and IPv6 addresses to pods and services. Add features to your Kubernetes cluster without changing upstream source code. Thank you friends for watching this video. We are from the Learning Light team congratulate you for completing this lecture. In this lecture, we have learnt what containerization is and how our technologies are leaned towards it. We have learnt the basic needs of Kubernetes. If you have come across this video for GCP, AWS or Azure, you can skip subsequent lectures in this series and go back to explore other exciting things in those cloud platforms from the playlists. But, If you want to go deep to explore this exciting world of container and Kubernetes, stick to this series and playlist. In the next lecture, we will learn how to install Docker and Podman and will start using it. Wish you all the best and good luck. Before leaving here, please do not forget to like this video and subscribe to this channel. We worked a lot to present you with such a thing. So, please encourage us by putting your comments in the comment section. If you have any doubt, please leave your concerns and we will reply with our best efforts. Have a nice day and see you in the next lecture.